Vicky Kaushal is going to be the next big thing after Chhaava. He's pulled off something unimaginable.
I think I'm a इच्छाधारी detacher. मतलब मैं
What a word!
इच्छाधारी नाक पता था.
I was just
Detached नहीं पता है
When-
क्या होता है.
Some things will mislead you. Do not get misled by things which the world tells you.
प्रेशर तो हमेशा इस बात का नहीं होता कि सक्सेस हो गया कि नहीं. इसका होता है कि लोगों को पसंद आएगा क्या.
I listen to my gut and I listen to it often and carefully. So I think that works.
Would you be comfortable putting up pictures even if you're getting lakhs and lakhs of like? I wouldn't be comfortable. I would hate to see myself every day.
I remember my conversation with Abhay Verma, who was in Munjya, a week before the film released. Nobody knew him.
Every decision that I've taken in my life has helped me become who I am.
I'm very fortunate that I'm in a phase where the industry, the Hindi film industry, the Hindi OTT industry is taking note of Maharashtrian culture, of Maharashtrian history, Maharashtrian rooted folklores.
Hey everyone, this is Hesha Chimah and joining me here for a conversation today is Rajeev Khandelwal, Saita Mankar and Aditya Sarpotdar. Hi, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Hi. Hi.
Congratulations. I am one of those few lucky people because of my job and my profession that I got to see the trailer, which is yet to be out for everybody else. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. But, you know, I want to start off this conversation by actually, with you, Aditya, I have to ask you this. I feel like in the West specifically, there's been great examples wherein, you know, like your literature has been very well translated into, say, great movies or even shows. Do you feel we in India, maybe courtesy this show and your work, we'll probably also be able to adapt to that and succeed in that way?
I hope people do. Coming from the Marathi film industry, we did that a lot. Like most of our films have been adaptations of great literate work. In Hindi, I've seen very less of it, although we have seen it in more of an indie space rather than the commercial Hindi space. But I do really hope that we have some great treasure of amazing writing, bold books, novels, which have not been yet adapted in a very commercial perspective in cinema or series before. So I really hope that starts the trend. But I feel this fit specifically for this, we were hunting already for a book that gave us a sense of adventure, a sense of treasure hunt, and this Pratibha Chandra book that we have adapted is the perfect book that we could find.
Right. I also feel you're somebody who's also very research backed, right? But you do tend to sort of bring in that touch of modernness and relatability, catering to the current audience as well. Tell me, how do you oscillate between striking that so well?
I just look for a seed of an idea. So it's not a literal translation of the book in the series. The idea is in the book, the soul is there, but the story is mine. So what I do is I kind of pick up from a thought and then try to build my own world around it. So may it be this, may it be Munjya, may it be the other stuff that we did. It's always like, you know, I need to see it myself when I'm reading it. It's a vision that you kind of harbor and you work around, and then you work towards the vision or executing towards the vision. So I always feel that because I contemporary narratives and styles, I'm exploring filmmakers, watching their content, get floored by, you know, new stuff that such young filmmakers are doing. And when I'm making my own stuff, I would always want to aspire to do something very out of the box. So then it means that you have to have your own language or your own voice. So that hunt and the original content I pick up from, I try to kind of marry that in the best possible way.
Lovely. You know, I'm going to talk about visual imagery with the both of you all specifically. As actors, when you all first read the script of the show, what kind of visual imagery came alive? Because I'm sure this is also very dynamic. You know, when I've just seen a brief part of it in the trailer, but I'm sure the whole show would have a lot more. So what was your first thought? What was running in your head?
This was like an unreal world. This was a fantasy world for me. When I read the script, I said, this is big. How will you do it? I mean, my first question to him was will we be able to pull off these sequences? Because your writing is like, you're just letting your imagination go wild. It was just a wild imagination going. And I'm so happy that it's actually turned out to be just the way it was written. In fact, better and bigger. So yes, that was it's a world that will be very new for you, will be very new for the audience. The visuals will be very new. The whole experience is also going to be very, very new.
Yeah, as so was it was probably for you when
Absolutely.
you first read it, right?
Not just when we read it, also each day we landed on the sets. It was a different world. He made it very easy for us. He made it easy because you were feeling those emotions when you were there.
Right.
So, you know, half the job was achieved because you're there and you were actually in awe of the space, and the story, of course, is taking it forward. But it was one of its kind of an experience.
Lovely. Sai, what about you?
unseen world, and I think before meeting each other, we had different ideas. Like, ye aisa hoga, wo waisa hoga. And when we came together and discussed, it was so nice to exchange those ideas because it's a very visual world. Even in writing, it's amazing. And when we were actually there, I discovered some new emotions which I've never felt before. And that was something really, really interesting.
Okay, so then let me ask you, what kind of emotions did you discover? Give me like one or two of them.
I had no idea how would I react if I am thrown in a cave and I am in search of something which has great value, great backstory of related to history. It was new. I could not. मेरे actor वाले meter में ये emotion था ही नहीं. And it just came in because everything was, you know, the location, the sets, everything was sort of promoting, yeah, you know, push कर रहा था हमें to get into that emotion. And we finally found it. And when we found it, we were like, oh, this is new, this is nice.
You know, just to add to this,
Sure.
a lot of it is VFX.
Right, of
So when they were performing, a lot of it was make-believe. So they had to kind of, I used to tell them, okay, this is the cave that we made till here, but in the show it's going to be like really vast. So look at it that way and kind of imagine. So they have done a great job in imagining all of it.
You know, that's something that I also wanted to counter-ask all of y'all actually, because when you're doing a show like this where there's a lot of VFX, right, I feel it's very important to be an actor's director.
100%.
And likewise sort of have that tandem with your director and you with your actors as well, right? But there are also people, I mean, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, if that's a judgment that I have of the both of you. I feel that you all would probably add your own nuance as well. Maybe would want to improvise and things like that. Did that happen on this set as well, or were you all purely just following the director's direction?
If you ask me, I was only following his direction. Because there were times when I could not look beyond a certain point.
Right.
I couldn't imagine beyond a certain point because everything was in his head. So for example, it wasn't very easy, by the way, acting for him, because he would want varying degrees of the same emotion every now and then. Shock, more shock.
Actually, like, Rajeev, in this shot, you have to be shocked. And he was like, okay, I'm showing shock.
Shock.
More shock. He's like, why more shock? I said, what you're
Surprise.
going to see has to be shocking enough, but there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So I am imagining it and I'm telling him to bring it out on camera.
So the degrees, that there were times when you felt that maybe I'm not adept enough to kind of do what he's asking me to do. But then, like I'm saying, there were dead ends for us. That okay, beyond this, he knows it. So you're standing there, you are emoting. I've not seen the series. I'm yet to judge myself as to how good or bad I was in the series. But yeah, a lot of thing was him. And like you asked me, I was following his directions. And this was probably for the first time that I wasn't doing any homework. I was just doing my classwork.
100% I know this, that he was not many times in the show while shooting, I felt it, that he must be wondering मुझसे क्या करवा रहा है. But the great thing about him is he never ever kind of ever told me कि ये मैं नहीं करूँगा. He always followed the instruction. Yeah.
What about you, Sai? How was it for you?
I think a lot of times my colleagues, the team, it all, like, they all helped us. ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ director, सिर्फ मैं या सिर्फ राजीव. You know, small things, small gestures, small reactions, small locations, everything sort of helped us. So it wasn't a particular one pinpoint, if I have to, there's no one particular thing. And of course, I've worked with Adi, so I know the kind of style that he has, what he expects from the actor. So that homework was done, so I was very comfortable. And yes, it's his vision, so it was all him.
Right. You know, Aditya, I have to ask you this as well. You have sort of dabbed into the OTT space as well before, right? And this is again that this is happening while you're also doing cinema, and we had success with Munjya as well, and now there's Maha Munjya coming on board. I want to ask you, how are you sort of maximizing all of this together and making sure मैं सब कर रहा हूँ?
You have to be crazy a little bit to have kind of really dabbled with so many different ideas. You go at the end of the day, sometimes you kind of wonder ki, is all this making even sense to you? But you know, that's the fun of it. You know, you're kind of creating so many different worlds. that you have to kind of always see to it that you are very clear about what you want in every world of this. And you have to have a very clear vision. That is what is going to count at the end of the day. With this, it was a very different world that we were creating. We were creating actually from a lot of real life referencing, because there are caves, there are these, you know, crazy historical sites that we are building. But we have to make it convincing enough for you also to believe that this could exist.
Right.
With a Munjya, Maha Munjya, now the vampire film, all of this is again characters and worlds that are so fantasy-like that you have to still believe in them, but there's a very thin line between all of this. But what's I think the most exciting part for me is, you know, I am getting to do stuff that otherwise a lot of filmmakers do not get to do, which is exploring worlds and ideas that are so different from what we see otherwise. And it's honestly telling you, you know, it's all coming from a space of no reference.
Right.
There's no reference to this. There was no reference to Munjya. There's no reference to the vampire film, Treasure Hunt. So for me, to build from zero reference is the most exciting thing to do, because whatever you do is the precedent, and that's a lot of fun.
But you know, might be slightly earlier to ask you, because I'm sure Maha Munjya, you're yet to start, or you must have started. But then, does that some sort of pressure automatically come onto you with every project that you do? Then कि भाई अभी इतना बड़ा दे दिया है मैंने success, अभी हर चीज में ये pressure.
No, but I'll tell you something. Pressure तो हमेशा इस बात का नहीं होता कि success हो गया कि नहीं. इसका होता है कि लोगों को पसंद आएगा कि नहीं. I do not really, you know, I'm very detached in that sense from a success or failure of whatever you do.
Right.
But I'm very attached to what did people enjoy it? Did people like it? Did people want to see it again? And for me, that counts. So pressure is बात का है कि will I be able to make an equally exciting film? Will I be able to make an equally exciting show? And that is all that is. So I try to have fun making it.
Right.
If I have fun and my team has fun, I've seen that translate a lot always on the screen. And it's a vibe. I'm sure Rajeev and Sai have done enough work to realize this, that at the end of the process, that when you're at the fag end of it, you have a sense of a feeling that, you know, ये करने में बहुत मजा आया था, तो ये एक basic level पे तो work होगा ही होगा. And that sense I try to create on every show that I do, or every film that I do.
Great. You know, you spoke about detachment. Rajeev, I want to ask you, and this is my personal observation, and actually I want to pay you a compliment for this. I feel in an industry where everybody is sort of very PR driven, you're not, you know, and that's very refreshing to watch something like that. And I feel you let the work speak. Your Instagram talks only about your work, maybe 1-2 pictures of Rajeev here and there. I want to ask you, are you really detached with the social media world?
I am detached.
Right.
I am detached, and I think I don't think very highly of myself in terms of that. I don't feel the need to put up my pictures every now and then. I think this is my personal picture. I mean, it doesn't excite me at all. I mean, I just feel that I'm just one of those regular people who is working, and my profession is acting. And besides, beyond that, I'm just a regular guy. So I'm detached. By nature, I'm detached. Also, I think I took that call very consciously because I realized that very early, very, very early in my career, that some things will mislead you. Do not get misled by things which the world tells you. You have to have your own ideas, you have to have your own way of looking at life, your own way of judging things. And that happened very early with my first show itself, because things were happening, crazy things were happening around it. And I said, this is not for me, this is not me. I think it all started off from there. And beyond that, there were always, you know, so, I mean, every decision that I've taken in my life, let's put it this way, every decision that I've taken in my life has helped me become who I am. If I were to look for strength, I would go back and think of the decisions that I've taken in the past, and the fact that I survived, or maybe things may have worked or things may not have worked, but I derive my strength out of it. So I think I am a detached person, and not because I want to prove anything to anyone. I think this works for me also as an individual. I'm not comfortable. If you ask me, would you be comfortable putting up pictures even if you're getting lakhs and lakhs of likes? I wouldn't be comfortable. I would hate to see myself every day doing things, you know, because that's not me. And again, I'm not putting down anybody else, nor am I saying that this is the model.
Right.
This works for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everybody is entitled to their own module and their own working. But you know, it's extremely funny and ironic when every time I tell people I'm going and interviewing Rajeev Khandelwal, especially the women, they always have this thing, yaar, he's such a green flag energy, you know, and which is such a trending term right now. Like even today, I must tell you all, if I open Instagram, I'm sure you might be absolutely unaware of this, there are those old videos of Kahin To Hoga where you're like green flag energy. energy. You know, that's what people talk about. Do you consider all of these things as like a thing to be relevant, or like you're like detached?
I'm very detached. I don't look into it. I don't like talking about it. I don't like going into that space because they are living with their characters and their imaginations, which is not me. Women have a way of looking and thinking about certain, let's say when it comes to romance, it is, they have an image, and they are, this is what my observation about women is, they have an image of a man, and probably they were seeing that image in my character.
Right.
It's not me, for sure. And I kept drilling this into my head when that was happening, because it was everywhere. I mean, I would step out of the house and I would experience something. I would come back, I would sit in the car, I was experiencing something. And I had to drill this into my head. It's their imagination. How many of them can actually live with you for 5 days or 6 days and then still be the same? Maybe not. So yeah. So I had to be honest.
See, now that's very rare, right?
Yeah.
You were very rooted to your reality, but kudos to you for that. Coming to you, I have to ask you this as well. Where do you sort of see yourself as far as this whole social media presence is concerned, and as an actor standing out and yet being validated for your work, but not overdoing it?
I think I'm a इच्छाधारी detacher. मतलब मैं
What a word!
इच्छाधारी नाक पता था.
I was just
Detached नहीं पता है
when,
क्या होता है.
when I want to detach, like when I want to
Pick and choose basically.
like if I decide to go off social media, I do that sometimes. It's a great
No withdrawal symptoms.
no withdrawal with
That's what you are saying.
yeah with no withdrawal symptoms. I can go off social media. Like I've trained myself to do this, and I think it's you know, worlds are changing, and one has to change with time, and new trends come, they go. But I think at the end of the day, your work is always going to stay, and that has longevity.
Right.
So I think everything else is a part and parcel.
You know, Aditya, coming to you, when we're talking about, let's say, longevity, where do you see is the longevity of shows like your own? And then what sort of, you know, when you say yes to a project like that as a director to come on board, then drives you thinking that, yeah, okay, this is where my success meter is going to be, because eventually it's all money making.
Yeah, so success meter, as I said, it's beyond me, right? No, I don't know whether this will be a big success or not. I don't know. But I do know what this could be. This could be something unique that nobody's seen before. Definitely a genre that nobody's done before in Hindi. If it does well, then it kind of becomes the first of its kind. So there are a lot of people who follow this, and that will be a great feeling, because okay, you've made something and people are like kind of taking off from there. What it does and what I look forward to, every time I do something, I look at these 2-3 aspects, is am I learning something new as a filmmaker when I'm making it? At the end of the process, am I going to be a little more learned about something I've never done before? And that exploration is what is important. So I feel over-assessing what could work, what could not work. See, nobody's been able to crack this code. If you see last year, the stuff you thought might work did not.
Absolutely.
The stuff you had no idea might work just did. So you cannot. It's way beyond you. Big stars have failed, and younger actors have kind of succeeded.
Right.
So you just do whatever you do with a certain instinct. I remember my conversation with Abhay Verma, who was in Munjya, a week before the film release. Nobody knew him. And he's like, sir, maybe this is a make or a break. I said, we don't know what it's going to be. Let's hope for the best.
Right.
We never discussed about numbers. We never spoke about numbers. We just were talking about whether people will like it or not. Yesterday I was talking to Gaurav. I was telling him the same thing. You know, we don't talk about whether it's going to be a hit or not. Let's hope people like it.
Right. Yeah.
And if people like it, then how many people like it depends on our luck.
Right.
But whoever sees it, if they enjoy it, our job is done. So, yeah.
But Abhay's life did change overnight, and he's a lovely human being as well.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy.
Have you started shooting for Maha Munjya?
No, we are way. I think it's a 26th release.
We are waiting.
No, it's 26th release, and everybody's excited suddenly. But right now I'm doing the vampire film. So after that, I'll do that film.
Perfect. You know, I have to also ask both of you all this. As actors at this given point in time, especially for you where you've worked for so many years altogether, you've been in the industry as well long enough, oscillated between different languages. What is still the most driving factor to continue doing what you're doing without getting complacent? Because let's be honest, sometimes I get complacent to what I'm doing.
Of course, yeah.
It happens, but then you always have to wake up and like then just pep yourself and be like, okay, you know what, do it. I want to know what was it for both of y'all individually.
I don't know, I still don't feel satiated. I just feel that there is so much more to do. I just feel that I have not done enough. I feel jealous of certain characters that people play, and you feel that oh, I have to do this one, and maybe I will have my own version of it. So you just feel that you've just started off. I do not know, even after 20 years, you still feel that you've started off, and there is so much more to do. I mean, before I hang my boots, I need to feel happy about the fact that, okay, I've been there, done that, but I haven't reached that point. I just feel that I've been there, but not done that for sure.
Right. So what's your script choosing process then? What makes you say yes?
If it does something to me, if it keeps me awake through the night, if it gives me makes me feel nervous about being part of it, I think those are the signs that when I pick up something. The moment I feel, will I be able to pull this off, is a great sign. You know, then you start getting worried, will they back off when I say yes? You know, so there are all kind of worries that happen. So for me, it's always instinctive. I don't measure anything by seeing who is behind. It all starts from the script, and then it happens, okay, who is the maker? Like for this one, of course, Adi was another one big reason. I had not seen much of Adi's stuff. I had to research, and I realized, oh, this is Aditya Sarpotdar. All right, so I've got to work with him. And then, of course, I kind of entered this one. So my process of picking up any script is, it has to do a lot with my instinct.
Right.
Yeah.
Coming to you?
I think I love what I do. So the love, the pull that the love has, I think that keeps me going. And I don't think that's ever going to change, or the intensity of it is never going to vary. It's going to be the same because it's unconditional.
Great. And then what's your process to say yes to something?
Instinct. I listen to my gut, and I listen to it often and carefully. So I think that works for me.
Right. You know, lastly, before I wrap this up, Aditya, coming to you as well, I feel आपका कुछ प्यार है this, you know, Marathi, Maharashtrian angle से and everything, which is amazing to watch. You know,
I am that.
Yeah,
so
I
why
know.
not? Yeah.
So I think साई का तो काम आधा उधर easy हो जाता है.
No, why be
Let me
changed?
hire.
No, but I feel I'm very fortunate that I'm in a phase where the industry, the Hindi film industry, the Hindi OTT industry is taking note of Maharashtrian culture, of Maharashtrian history, Maharashtrian rooted folklores. It was always there, but the Hindi film industry somehow chose not to kind of dabble into it too much. Unfortunately, growing up, I've always kind of had this big grudge that the Marathi actors have only played cops or maids or you know, these government office workers, middle class, and there's so much more to that in Hindi rather than only this. So I have always kind of wanted to represent who I am, where I come from, on a bigger platform. And if I'm getting to that and getting to make stuff like this, then who could have asked for better? So, yeah.
You know what I also liked is, I know that the show also has obviously a huge connect with Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Ji, and you also came out in support of Chhaava, which is Vicky Kaushal's film,
100%.
on the same thing. I saw you call it a cinematic event, and I feel kudos to doing
I
that.
should tell you this, and maybe it's too, maybe you've already gauged it through the teaser you've seen.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Vicky Kaushal is going to be the next big thing after Chhaava. He's pulled off something unimaginable.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you see the film, you'll realize that there's this guy. Where was he? What's wrong with him?
Yeah.
Because he's mad in that film, and I am just waiting to experience that on this big screen again.
Yeah.
And people are going to go crazy.
Wow.
Seeing him.
Can I tell you what happened with us? So we were at this 3-2 screening press show, and just before that, Maddox showed us the trailer, the teaser actually.
Teaser of Chhaava.
Oh my God, we were in goosebumps. Like, I think for 5 minutes I had to undo what I have seen to go back to 3, and I was like, okay, wait, now I have to watch this film and not like think about what Vicky's doing with that. But yeah, I
So
mean,
3
it
people.
surely is.
Lakshman Uttekar is his vision. She's worked with him.
Yeah.
He's great at telling visual stories. Vicky and Rahman, you're gonna experience this on some other level.
See, all I'm feeling while I'm hearing this are pangs of jealousy.
But it's great. It's great.
What keeps me
great.
going?
Right, this.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's going to be great. I feel wasn't I a part of that film, but it's great. Yeah.
But we do have Secrets of Shiledar.
Yes, we
before
have our
that
own
to watch
versions.
on OTT,
Yeah.
which is your own visual,
Yeah.
you know, imagery that we're all looking forward to watch, and we're excited for the trailer to drop for everybody else to watch who probably haven't seen it. Thank you so much for your time. What a lovely
Thanks.
interaction
Thank
I
you,
had,
thank you,
and
thank
you.
all the very best and looking forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.